Okay, just right. Just getting everything ready. Go. At good. Right now, just waiting for Twitch. And it looks like Twitch is online now. Alright, so it looks like we are good to go. Let me just open up Twitch. So basically I just follow along with Twitch just to make sure that everything is working correctly. Because I think earlier, I don't know if it was the last test series or it was one of the earlier races, the stream just failed about 5 minutes in, and I did not notice until I was getting ready to end the switch that there was only a black screen. So let's see. All right, so we got that. So let me go ahead and load the game. So I know it is an early race, so probably less play or less watchers today. But here we go. So today we are at Phoenix. Definitely a good race. Definitely got a few, did a bunch of testing on it. And it should be an interesting race, at least the first couple of laps. Couldn't test the full race just because time did not allow. So we are doing 94 laps with 3 times pit stop frequency. So we're going to do, so pits are going to be a thing.
Drivers, to your cars. Drivers, to your cars.
Alright, so today it looks like Sheets and Brooks are the top 2 drivers today. So they will be leading the pack to the green flag with, looks like Green, Paul, and Martinez towards the back in the Bowers, which is a new car. So let's get started. Let's open this up. And let's just make sure. Yeah, it looks like everybody's got everything started. And let's watch Brooks take the green flag here at Phoenix. The desert in the background. So definitely the good, modding by a bunch of different people. So a lot of good talent here, track making. I think every track we have raced at has been a custom track just because it looks so much better than the old tracks. As everybody takes the green flag, one thing I didn't notice here is everybody drops below that yellow line, which is definitely interesting as, 10 in the ward is trying for the lead. They're going 3 wide almost. I know there's a lot of 3 wide, 4 wide, even some 5 wides going in this track. It's very, especially at the start, as this is a wide open track, as we have a 3 wide lead for 3 wide battle for the lead between basically 2 teammates in the 31 and 33 of the Weber Racing against the 10. So far, looks like Weber's going to get as there is a car in the wall in the back. And they're still bouncing around, so there's no room there as everybody's into the wall. Looks like Williams, like a Jarvie got tapped in the side. Looks like a Mitchell. Looks like everybody, for the most part, got clean. I think Williams in the 5 got the worst part of that. I think she ended up spinning into the wall. But I think Jarvie, who got spun as well, and the 98 of Mitchell. I think Jarvie in the 9 only got a little bit of damage, though. That slamming into the back of that 66 definitely is probably not helping. But it looks like most people are going to be taking a pit stop here. So definitely a quiet first lap, at least after about 10 tests. So definitely a, so far, good start. So we take lap number 4 of 94, so we've got 90 laps left. So yeah, it looks like one of the lines on this track is below that yellow. Okay, so let's try that out, Jarvie, or yeah, Alex S, and then, oh, there we go. That's working. Let's see, race, fastest lap. Let's see, so what do you guys, should we put it on fastest lap, or should we do just race? I know we have the ticker, but I know the ticker can be sometimes out of sync. You see all those, look at all of those skid marks into the wall. I mean, you'd think with all those skid marks going into that wall that there'd be a ton more damage, but I don't think anybody's really out. I think that number 5 Williams, she got the most of that damage. But even she's coming back in. The 44, I don't think she was in it. Jarvie probably just needed some new tires, maybe a hammer to try to get that dent out. Yeah, I think next race I will be moving the ticker to make room for this new standings, just so that there's the most information out there. So we can leave it on fastest lap right now. Yeah, he might have pitted. I know there's a huge group that pitted in that. Most weren't even involved in that. So right now he is in 22nd. Mass. So it looks like he did end up going into the pits with about half the field. And Award in that 10 was battling for the lead, but nobody behind him was who he was battling with. So as we take a look at the top now, so first place is Ward in the 10, Cargo in the 54, Guerrero in that 18, Walker Jr. in that 1, definitely have a good. Emerson 84, he's having a pretty good race today. And he definitely needs us. He has not performed that well this week, or this season. Then we got Srivastava in the 7, King in the 11, Wayne King in the 20, Thorne, Campbell, Bailey, Brooks, Green, Graham, Weber. Yeah, Weber definitely was battling for the lead with his teammate, that blue 31 in the back. So it looks like he did pit. So we'll definitely see how good those fresh tires are going to be as Ward's coming to take the green flag to restart this race. So this should be, I think there should be like 3 pit stops, depending on cautions, 3 pit stops. So there may be at least 1 under green flag. So we'll definitely see about that. As Ward takes the green flag, there's a bunch of people diving down, basically turn almost 4 wide. Let's see if they're going to get 4. They're going to get 4 wide for second place, as Emerson is pushing up the other cars. They're 5 wide now as they go into the wall. More crashes now than there have been almost all testing, as there's nowhere for any of these cars to go, as they just basically filled up the entire track. Yeah, it looks like a few cars jumped into the pits to try to get out of the way, as Emerson is just being picked on by everybody. And now there's heavy damage on almost everybody. It looks like there was only that one issue, but it looks like I'm not sure why pit road is open right now, especially for the cars that were leading. But we'll see. Oh, it looks like heavy damage on that number 22 Martinez. It looks like he did not have a great day. We could definitely take a look to see what happened, but that was definitely a huge crash. Yeah, it looks like he just got stuck. As we scroll up, yeah, it looks like basically it was for second place. It looks like maybe Emerson in the 84 got a little loose, went into Walker Jr., and Walker Jr. went up into Guerrero, and Guerrero went right up into Cargo, and then they just start sliding up towards the wall, basically 5 wide. See, this is why you don't go 5 wide at any track, as Cargo in the 54 just gets loose into the wall and basically spins 4 of those people. And then basically everybody slides down into the track. There's Wayne King in the 20 getting turned, and then there was nowhere for anybody to go, as most cars were going about full speed. And I mean, they were probably hitting their brakes, but at the end of the day, there was nowhere to go right here. I mean, the spinning cars just were in the way. And then I think there was some extra bumping with Emerson a little bit after this crash. Yeah, it looks like Pitch in the 6 decides to turn Emerson, maybe thinking that it was his fault that they were in that crash. But definitely huge crash with tons of top drivers in there. As we see, many of the top drivers were in that crash. So definitely exciting to see, unless you were, in that crash and are probably out. Yeah, so Bowers in the 05 retired, Carter retired. It's like there's probably going to be a couple more. Haas in the 8 retired, Straight retired. So definitely a ton of action in this first race. We scroll up. Martinez may be a lap down. As there's heavy damage on Martinez. It looks like he may have just hopped out to make sure he didn't get a lap down. As right now, it looks like Weber in that 33 still has that fastest lap at 27.09. And then Srivastava right behind him. Doesn't look like the 54 of Cargo is going to try to top the 33, as I believe he is have heavy damage. So yeah, it looks like 10 is in the lead currently. We'll see. Oh, it looks like 7 is in the lead now. So 7, Srivastava, the 42 of Green, 3 of Walker Jr., all in the top 3 right now. It looks like the 21 of Sanders also in the top. So definitely good to see him in the top, as we haven't seen much of him since he started a couple of weeks ago. We still have at least another lap left. Looks like Kimmel at 44 is not having a great day. So Emerson did end up coming back out into the race, as we could take a look at a cup, see who else ended up pulling out of this race. So it looks like Bowers, Carter, Gdovek, Straight, Haas, Kimmel's a lap down, and then Core. So we'll see if Kimmel in that 44 will be able to come back out into this race. Looks like somebody's smoking up here. Oh yeah, it looks like the 56 of Davis has blown an engine on this, basically the last caution lap. So definitely not a great start for him, as he's going to probably end up finishing in the back 30s. As here comes lap cars. as we get ready for the green flag. We see if Davis is going to be able to get to the pits. Hopefully he's able to get to the pits so we don't get another caution flag, but it does look like he will be able to get to the pits. We'll see how slow he's going to be and see if it's going to hinder any starts for anybody. Still, Srivastava in that 7 is the leader. Looks like he's going to have a lot of work to do to get past all of these lap cars in front of him. And then you see that Emerson, as they take the green flag, Emerson, the 84, is definitely much slower than the rest of the pack. As Srivastava, went straight through most of those lapped cars with very little help. As 3 gets sideways in the back, as again there's another crash. Definitely more crashing than was in the testing, but it's definitely a lot more action-packed than the last few races. But it does not look like there were any heavy damage. Look at Sanders, Williams, and Weber in the 33 are going to go into the pits. Everybody's trying to sort themselves out. Everybody's going to probably go into the pits just to get some fresh tires on. So it looks like probably Brooks is going to be leading after this lap. It depends if he's going to hop into the pits or not. The number 9 of Jarvie, and then Hannah in the 16, and then Mass in the 17. You'll see what these pit stops do to move any of these guys up. It actually looks like Mass is now 5th, Jarvie 4th, Hannah 3rd, Brooks and 2nd. Let's see who is going to be leading. Looks like Ward may be leading. We'll see what the computer says after this. So yeah, definitely good to stay in the front as long as nobody gets beside you. I think there's a little bit of sliding in this track. So it looks like it was just you take a look to see. It didn't look too much. Now Davis ended up blowing a piston, and Kimmel finally pulled out of this race as well. But it looks like Kimmel did get a couple more laps in before he pulled out, so he got a few positions, a couple free positions, just for finishing another lap. But yeah, it looks like Davis did blow a piston. He is done for the day. Emerson, who was basically running to win this race, now is 32nd, a lap down. So we got about three cars that are lap down. Cargo in that 54 was also up there, as well was Weber, who looks like he did not get the greatest pit stop. I mean, it looks like he looks fine, but it looks like his pits just pushed him way towards the back. So he's rolled up. So it looks like after everything's sorted out, Brooks in that 80 is going to be the one taking the lead. Definitely see if we can get a couple of laps in, because we're on lap 15 of 94. May have tweaked this INI file a little too much, but there was definitely not this much crashing while I was testing it. So lap cars are going to start coming up to the front to see if they can get a lap back. For what I've saw, I know Emerson's not going to get that lap back. He just cannot keep speed. We'll see how much longer he's going to stay out there, or if he's going to screw somebody's day up. The 22 of Martinez, I don't believe with all that front end damage is going to keep up, which is going to end up slowing down that, I think, 98 behind him, which is definitely not going to give that 98 a chance to try to get his lap back. But as we come to the green flag, you can see if that Martinez is going to be able to get his lap back. As they enter turn 3 to get to the green flag. This track layout definitely is an interesting layout. There's a very long period from when the pace car goes in to when they get to the green flag. So it looks like they have gotten the green flag, and actually Martinez is actually keeping up with the 80 a little bit more than I thought he was going to, as somebody got brought into the wall. Looks like it was Weber or Walker or Senior. Yeah, I think the INFR got tweaked a little too much, but that's gonna make up for all of the other. Oh, there is a car flipping. There's 54 as Weber takes a hard hit into the back of the 52. And it looks like Walker Senior, his day is done. There's a ton of damage, and there's Mass in the 17. Looks like we have a lot of top drivers. Looks like the 84 of Emerson is finally done for the day. He couldn't keep up speed anyway. Everybody's going to run into the pits to try to get some new tires on. As we take a look at what happened. So we take a look at Mass. So yeah, it looks like somebody tapped into Mass, and Mass went into the 10 of Ward. And then as he was trying to check up to get out of the way, he ends up clipping the 53, which basically slowed everybody down. But it looks like the 53 definitely got the worst of that, as he lands hard on the top of his head there, and he just keeps on flipping. Because Weber right there just slams hard in the back of the 52, and then there was just nowhere for really anybody to go. Definitely going to thin the pack after that crash. As you can see, a ton of smoke coming out of many of these cars' engines. As it does not look like anybody's going to get out of here without getting some damage. And it does look like Mass in that 17 probably is done for the day. You see the smoke coming out of his engine. And Campbell as well to 52. And a Yates in that 25. A heavy damage to Weber, who was trying to get back up into the lead. Does look like there is a ton of guys. Jarvie heading back out. So definitely, if you were in a crash earlier in this race, you definitely can make a comeback. We might see one of the first heavily damaged cars win a race. So it looks like Bishop in the 12 is going to lead a lap. So that's definitely good for him. He hasn't had the greatest season so far, but definitely good building blocks to lead a couple of laps in a race. As we see a Thorne in that zero still chugging along, has some damage on the left side as well as the back, but still doing pretty good. 68 is having a ton of work done, as well as the 11 of King. Yeah, I think this should have been a Carnage event. As we see everybody's trying to sort themselves out. Looks like Martinez has to go behind a couple of cars. As we have Bishop. So we're lap 20 of 94. So we still got a while to go. But as the pack starts to thin out, we will definitely hopefully have less wrecks. So it does look like Sanders into 21, Weber both out, King is out, Walker Jr. is out, Grubb, Bailey, Campbell, Pitch, Mass out, Emerson out, and I believe that is everybody from that wreck. Though there are a couple of lapped cars, but I think we're down to 2 lapped cars now. So it is progress. Now we're down to 2. And we definitely see if we can get a couple of laps done. Definitely tweaked the I&I a little much. But as we can see, if Bishop can pull away from these lapped cars and see if we can get some laps done without there being a ton of wrecks again. Definitely going back to the drawing board on the I&I file here at Phoenix, just in case Phoenix does make it to the playoffs. So definitely, if you have not voted yet, definitely vote for the playoffs in the Discord as we get the green flag and a ton of cars are jumping to the inside to try to get it, as we're again going 4 wide in this track. As you can see, there's a ton of space. People are leaving a ton of space just so that they don't bump into each other. Looks like that was a clean turn, but we've still got a bunch more turns to go. As it does look like Bishop is going to lead that green flag lap. As everybody kind of spaces out during that turn, because that yellow line really does not count, it looks like. As we do see the 4 slowly making his way up. That's definitely good to see another newer driver be able to perform well, especially at a very active track here at Phoenix. As we do see, the 22 of Martinez has slowly backed into further back into the pack, as the damage done to his car really does not let him keep up with the speed. As right now, Brooks and Bishop in that 12 right now are slowly pulling away, as Brooks does take an inside lane on Bishop, but he does end up, or Bishop does end up beating him out in that corner. As we do see the 38 now taking a quick look on the inside of the 31. As again, Brooks is taking an inside look at the 12 cars inside. It looks like he is able to get it to stick, as he's taking, the inside lane is definitely a ton faster in this track, as Brooks does lead this lap. So he is definitely back leading, as he was leading earlier in this race. As we do see some 3 wide going on for a top 5 position, as Williams in the 5 is right here with us. So we definitely see if the 4 car is going to have a good run, as we do see the fastest lap. The 38 right now has the fastest lap, or had the fastest lap. As he is slowly catching up to Bishop in that 12. We'll see if he's going to be able to pass the 12 and then give the 80 of Brooks, who really has been starting to drive away from the rest of the pack, as the 38 is just trying to get past the 12, as the 12 right now is just trying to keep to stay in that second position. So he does have to be careful, because I know the 38 really wants to have a good showing today. Hopefully he does not just move him out of the way, though it does look like he has tried a few times to bump the 12 out of the way, though he does get the inside lane in that corner and will end up passing the 12. We'll see if the 12 is going to try to cross him and get back into second place, as the 12 is looking in his rearview mirror and seeing the 10 and 7 catching up pretty quickly. As right now we just see the 80 of Brooks just driving away. So take a look at some of the damaged cars that are really just trying to finish this race up. Because right now it's a little pack of 4 cars, with the 31 fifth car a little bit further back. Right now probably just maybe trying to link up to try to catch up to the 80, as that 80 is just running away. Though it does look like that 38 car is also starting to pull away from this small pack, maybe trying to catch up to the 80 to try to take it away. Though it does look like Ward is starting to work on Bishop of that in that 12 car. He definitely got a great run entering into that corner, and it looks like he will end up passing the 12, as Bishop is starting to feel like he is starting to slow down a bit. Yeah, as Ward in that 10 is slowly starting to pull away. Not sure if Bishop in that 12 did end up getting any fresh tires on, or if he just wanted to stay out for position. Though it does look like he is slowing down, as the 7 of Srivastava now is about to pass him. So that choice to lead a couple of laps may come back to bite him as he continues to drop. Though with the amount of cars that have crashed, dropping back a little bit may not hurt him as much, as that 10 of Ward has caught up to the 38 of Parker. So we'll definitely keep an eye on the second place battle, though as the longer they battle, the further that 80 of Brooks is going to pull away. So right now it does look like they will be slowly catching up to Brooks, as the 10 almost tries to sneak his nose into the inside of the 38, but the 38 is basically saying no. Though on that turn, the 10 did end up getting a good run, as now is right beside the 38. There's still plenty of time, as we're on lap 36 of 94 for any car really to catch the 80, but the more they are battling, the further that 80 is going to be driving away. It does look like that 10 is going to get past the 38, though he wasn't able to close the deal on that turn. It does look like the 38 got a pretty good run entering that turn. Though that inside line is definitely much better than that outside line, as it looks like the 10 now has finally fully passed him, with Srivastava on that 7 basically following the leader of that 10 right past the 38. And while everybody is battling, the 80 has been slowly and surely basically pulling away from that second pack, leading a ton of laps. We're on like 38 of 94. Though the 80, as you can see, is going to start catching up to some lapped cars, and these lapped cars are, heavily damaged, so they are definitely going a lot slower than that 80 is right now. As we see Yates and Graham both basically just trying to finish out this race just to get to the next race. You see there are a few cars that are just trying to finish this race. And then we do see Bishop has dropped to 5th position after leading, so it does look like he is thinking of just staying out and leading a couple laps. May come back to bite him, though. 5th place position by Bishop, at least in this at least at this track, would probably be a good finish for him, as though it does look like the 10 with the 7 drafting behind him is slowly catching that 80. So Brooks definitely has some work to do, especially once he catches up to those lapped cars, seeing if he could pass these lapped cars quickly, or if he's going to end up having to slow down and give that 10 a chance to catch up to him. So it does look like there is a few people jumping into the pits, so yeah, it looks like Bishop and that 12 Bishop and Parker are now going into the pits, as the 80 has caught up to these lapped cars, and it does not look like they're gonna let him through easily, though he is much faster than them and looks like he's probably gonna pass them pretty easily, but they definitely did not scoot over for him. As the 80 just kind of drives right by. So we'll definitely see what these lapped cars decide to do with that 10 car. Though it does look like they are battling each other, trying to get 1 or 2 more extra positions throughout this race. Though Brooks in that 80 definitely does have a few more cars in front of him coming up. So it does not look like many of these cars are going to try to, or are going to move out of the way to let the leaders go through. So this could be an issue, especially once a pack comes up, but it does not look like there are too many packs left in this race. As it looks like Ward and Srivastava basically just are going to drive past the 25 car. Though Srivastava did get a good run on there and is thinking about taking that 2nd position from Ward. Was not able to keep the inside, though it looks like the 10 is going to go into the pits for one of his pit stops on lap 45 of 95. So right now it's basically Srivastava trying to catch up to the 80 of Brooks, as 80 has caught up to the 18 of Guerrero. Though Guerrero now is going to hop into the pit. So it looks like, I think Brooks did take that early pit stop, so he's going to be able to get a couple more laps in. Though he may hop into the pit stop this lap, as I think mostly everybody else has jumped into the pits. As he takes lap 47 of 94. Right now, Brooks in this 80 car is definitely dominating this race, as he has decided to come into the pits now, and I believe he has a pretty good cushion between him and 2nd place, so he's able to come in and try to replace probably everything on his car right now. All tires, full fuel, just because he has a ton of space between him and 2nd place. Though he does have a very long way to go to his pit stop. We take a look at some of the other racing going on. Srivastava in 3rd place. We'll definitely see where he is once they pass the start and finish line, so they can reset the starts. So Bishop right now is battling that 10 car of Ward. So it does look like the fresh tires on the 12 are definitely helping him out, as the 80 has come out of the pits. And now he's basically in a small pack, and hopefully everybody can stay clean. As, Brooks just takes that inside line and basically drives with Ward right past him. The Ward now is looking to try to get that inside line on the 80. Ward Ward right now says he's second place, and then Brooks in third, and then 38 right now is in that first position. So it looks like the 80 did end up losing one position, well now two positions in that pit stop. So now everybody is playing catch up to the 38, though it looks like the 10 and the rest of that pack, ARC, is catching up to that 38. Not sure if that 38 really is one of the faster cars today. Though right now he does have the fastest lap. So it does look Srivastava ended up passing the 80 as well. So definitely those fresh tires in all of these cars are changing the speed of some of these cars. As right now the 80, who was basically driving away from everybody, is now basically having to sit back and wait a few laps to try to get his tires warm and to get back into the groove of the race. As it looks like he is looking to take that position back from the 7. As he just speeds into that corner, pushing the 7 up. And looks like he is able to pass that 7 very easily. Though it does not look like that 38 is going to be in the lead for much longer, as the 10 and the 80 are both catching him very quickly. With the 80 probably they're one of the fastest cars in this on this track right now. It looks like the 10 of Ward has finally caught up to the 38 of Parker, and then the 10 and 7 right behind them. So depending on how much of a battle the 10 takes to pass the 38, the 80 and the 7 may be right on his tail. Here comes the 10. The 10 of Ward definitely left room for the 80. It looked like the 10 may have thought to stay right behind the 80 to see, or the 38 to see if they could pull away from the 80 and 7, but it doesn't look like they are. As Ward takes hard into the 38, just spins him, and then the 38 hard into the 7. It looks like everybody's going to stay green, but definitely not what we wanted to see right there. It looks like the 10 just was tired of waiting. We're definitely going to see what the 80 does right behind him. It looks like the 7 is also speeding up to try to catch up to that 10. I don't think either of them are very happy with the 7 right now. I mean, everything is going to stay green, but that basically, ends the not the day for 38, but ends the probably him being able to compete for a win or even a top 5, as he's probably going to go at least a lap down. Though 38 definitely was one of the fastest cars today. but basically probably ends that that day for the 38 for top position. So right now, as we sit and watch, see what the 80 decides to do, as well as the 7. If the 7 ends up getting being able to catch up to the 10. I think the 10 or the 7 does have some damage on his side, so we'll see if he's going to be able to catch up to these two cars. And we'll see what happens once these cars catch up to some lap cars. So it does look like the 80 is working on the 10. So it looks like the 80 is much faster than the 10, but it doesn't look like the 10 is going to give him any room. As out comes the 38. We'll see if the 10 and 38 basically catch up to each other at all later on in this race to see what's going to go on. And yeah, I think the 38 is probably a lap down at least, and probably not going to be able to keep the speed he was able to keep before the 10 decided to turn him. But the leader is the 10. He's catching up to some lapped cars, so we'll definitely keep an eye on this race, as it does look like it's going to be a close one, as the 80 is slowly trying to get to the inside of the 10. As yep, there he goes. The 80 decides probably to retaliate on the 10 and just spins him out of the way. So that's one thing you definitely shouldn't do, is just to spin somebody, because even if they're not teammates, a racer may end up turning you if you decide to race that dirty. So the 10 definitely raced extremely dirty during the pass of the 38, and the 80 decided to retaliate back and end up spinning the 10. So we'll definitely see what's going to happen. Caution flag, so everybody's going to be able to get in the pits, get some damage cleaned up, fresh tires, fresh gas, and then we'll see what's going to go on from there. Yeah, we'll definitely see what's going to go on between the 10 and the 80. As definitely the 10 is definitely not happy with the 80 right now, but that may have been just a race and retaliatory spin for basically what the 10 did to the 38. So it does look like we'll see what the 38 does. Look, the 38's just trying to get a lap back. But we will definitely keep an eye on that, as there has been a ton of movement. Here's Walker Jr. Doesn't look like he has too much damage on him. Looks like he's worked his way back up to 4th position, so we'll definitely see what's going to go on with Walker Jr. As we see Ward, we'll definitely see as they come past the start and finish line, see where he came out in that exchange between him and the 80. Yeah, it looks like he's going to come out in 5th position. With, looks like, Srivastava maybe in 1st place. So we will keep an eye on this. So yeah, definitely some interesting movement throughout this race. So some definitely frustration as a couple of cars got turned, and then some retaliation back from them. So we'll definitely keep an eye on them. I know there's a lot of teams that have lost one car, so may not want to make too many people angry, because losing 2 cars in one race definitely is not something most teams want to do, especially with cars being so expensive. So that's one thing about driving 2 cars in one race is if there is a bad race, a hard caution, and you lose 2 cars, you're ended up losing, 2 cars for that season. As we are getting everything ready, so it looks like there are a decent number of lap cars, which is going to be interesting in this start. I mean, Srivatava is leading the race with the 80, 12, 4, and 10 at the top 5. So we'll definitely see what the 38 and the 10 do if they ever come across each other once the green flag drops. Those cars enter into this third turn as they are coming up to get the green flag. As we are lap 66 of 94. We'll see if everybody can stay clean, as there is just a huge pack of cars in this front pack. They are bumping and they are sliding into the wall. As Srivatava right now is not moving, and 80 looks like he got into it as well. There may be something issue wrong with the Srivatava's engine, as he just was not moving, which forced the league to throw the caution flag. So definitely not a good thing to see the 80 of Brooks in that crash, as he is one of the fastest cars. As we see multiple cars jumping to get into the pits. It looks like Martinez in that 22. All right, I was just trying to get his lap back. Then Cargo King Parker, who's going to try probably to get back into this race to win. He definitely has a very good car. There is a lot of cars working, especially with the amount of tapping and spinning right now. This is really anybody's race. I mean, we're at lap 68 of 94, so there is still a ton of time for everybody to come out and really compete. As we see the leaders coming back out of the pits. Ooh, we don't want that. As we see everybody starting to sort themselves out to try to figure out where everybody needs to go. Looks like everybody sorted themselves out with no real issues, as most of the lap cars are jumping into the pits to get a pit, get some fresh tires on. Although 38 Parker had decided to stay out another lap at least. Not sure if he is in the lead, though. It looks like we are down to... We are at 20 drivers left, so we got 20 cars left. Srivatava ended up pulling out of the race after that race, or after that crash. So Parker is basically was 3 laps down, now he's 2 laps down. So he's just trying to get as many laps back as he can. Martinez is 2 laps down. And then we have a ton of cars that are a lap down. So definitely a ton of work to do for a lot of these drivers, but still, there's a lot of time left, so even some of these drivers can come back and win. As we'll see what the 38 has decided to do. I don't think he has pitted yet today, or not today. He's pitted earlier, but he has not pitted since the caution flew. Not sure if he's going to pit on this lap. I mean, right now he does have the fastest lap, so he's definitely doing pretty good. The 80 who was in that crash, so he was in the crash, but he still is the leader. So that's an interesting turn of events. Yeah, as the 38 still has not pitted, as this is now the last lap of caution, as the lapped cars are now catching back up. We'll definitely see if that strategy for Parker is going to help or hurt him. As you know, you'd think that since he has a lot worse tires, maybe he's thinking that there's going to be another crash on this start, as there's definitely a lot of movement on these starts, as these lap cars, who are much slower than many of the leading cars, end up packing up the leaders, and somebody gets spun usually. So we will definitely keep an eye on this, eye on the strategy of Parker in this 38, just trying to get back onto the lead lap, but he's still got a while to go. But he definitely can do it. He's definitely one of the fastest cars. So as the 80 takes the green flag, gets a huge run with the help of 12. As you see that the lack of fresh tires on the 30 is, oh, the Walker Jr. is on his lid, taking out some of the back end drivers. So definitely not what the Walker team wanted to see, as Walker Sr. is already out of the race. It looks like Hessert is out, as everybody's taking another caution flag. It doesn't look like it does not look like the 38 was going to get his lap back, though he may get his lap back here, depending on who takes the pit stop. I mean, they only got one lap. We'll definitely have to see about that, as we're on lap 73. I mean, we are almost done. I mean, this race is over half over. So there's still a lot of race to go. But right now, 80 is the car to beat. We take a look at some of these guys. Hessert is done for the day. I mean, you would think Walker Jr. ending that crash on his lid will be done for the day as well, as a few of these other cars were involved. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. Though he is still in the pits, he has not pulled out of the race yet. It looks like he is the last one that hasn't made a decision yet. But we will keep an eye on that. As the pace cars, everybody's on that. We'll be on lap 75 today. So right now, it looks like the 80, it is his race to lose, as he's basically been dominating this race for most of it. Especially at the start of the race, with that crash that took out most of the leaders. And then a few, there was a few crashes or later on that took out some of the other fastest cars. As we take a look at some of the fastest laps, the 38 is a couple laps down after a retaliatory spin by the 10. The 80 right now leading, the 7 is out. The number 10 is back in, I think, 10th place. Bishop in that 12 is right behind him, but definitely not able to keep up with the 80, at least for very long. The 31, which is a little bit further back. 42, which looks like he's in, fourth place, but still has some heavy damage. So there's still some pretty fast cars out there, but the 80 looks like he is the fastest and the one to beat. We're going through. It looks like the Walker Jr. has ended up pulling out of the race, so definitely not a good running for the Walker team. Though it looks like he will probably finish 17th, so it wasn't terrible, but he is losing. His team is losing 2 cars this race. There still is a lot of running to go, as we see Martinez jumping up with Parker in the 38 to try to see if they can get their laps back, as the field is still slowly but surely dwindling. I think we are, what, less than 20 cars left to go. So you would imagine that the 80 is going to get a great run on that 22 of Martinez. But the cars behind all of these lapped cars really may be in trouble depending on how fast this 22 can get. You know, some of these lapped cars, heavy damage and cannot keep up speed. Definitely see how long the league lets them continue to race if they can't keep up with the speed. As we see the 22 and 80 come to the green flag, we can see if the 22 can get a lap back, as well as the 38. The 38 really is a pretty fast car, so we'll see how well he can do. Though he did not get a good run, the 38 did not get a good start, as he is just dropping very fast. As that 28 is sliding up on Bishop. Definitely not what we want to see, as the 4 Felix. I think Paul is. Oh, there is again multiple car crash into the side. Looks like Hannah, Ward, Parker in the 38. Definitely not a good one to see. Thorne in the 80. All involved in another crash. Though it does look like it looks like the 80 did end up passing the 4 again. But this 4 car definitely is a very fast car. So we'll see. He really has not been, the 4 really has not been in this race for long, or has not been in this race really at all. But he's been basically just staying out of trouble and working his way up as cars end up dropping out of this race. And has slowly been moving up. I mean, it looks like his car is pretty clean. Yeah, it looks like the 4, I mean, his car is basically as clean as the 80. These 2 cars really have stayed out of trouble. The 80 has stayed out of trouble, basically being sitting in the front. The 4 has been staying out of trouble basically just by sheer luck, it seems like, as there's been so many cautions. As it looks like the 10 of Ward is out of this race as well. Definitely not a good running for the pitch team as well, as they dropped 2 cars as well. It looks like Ward will probably finish 16th, which, you know, 16th is not that bad of a finish, but that losing those cars is definitely bad. As we can take a look, we are down to 15 drivers. So definitely a very eventful race. So definitely drivers are driving a little too close to each other. Definitely going to adjust the I&I for the playoff race. I think Phoenix is one of the top tracks that drivers have voted for. I know if you still haven't voted for the I guess the playoff race in the Discord, definitely go and vote to see what track you want to see in the playoffs. There's going to be a 4 playoff race after the season. We're about halfway through the season now, so the final standings are slowly starting to show themselves. Definitely a ton of player cards in the top of this league right now, as well as a few of the secondary drivers as well. So it's definitely a lot of time for many of these drivers to move up, especially that number 4, which has really done well in this race. We'll see what he decides to do against this 80. I mean, it does not look like, as you can see the fastest laps, it does not look like he has the speed to catch the 80. but just the sheer luck to stay out of trouble may end up helping him. As we are on the last lap of this caution, we're on 81. So we have a little over 10 laps to go. We can see if everybody is going to stay out of trouble, though it looks like there really has not been too many laps. I guess there was that long stretch in the middle of the race where everybody stayed very clean. But after that, basically as soon as restarts start, everybody just starts hitting each other. So definitely some work to do as the 80 and 22 again come to the green flag to see who is going to get the best start. Right now I think the 80 has every single start, has been doing well. So we'll see if the 4 of Felix can catch up to the 80, but right now it looks like it's the 80's race to win and it's the 80's race to lose. As they come to the green flag, it does look like the 80 got a good run, though the 22 is still right there. Though the 54 definitely did not get a great start there. As we see the pack right here, just is in the, just a huge pack as the 18 taps the 9 of Jarvie, but Jarvie was able to save it. It looks like that lap they definitely got out of that second corner without any crashes. But of course we got multiple corners to go. As we're now see damage on the 38, does not look like he's able to keep the same speed as he had previously, but he right now is, for the most part, just racing for position now, as he is in 15th position. As they continue to go 3 wide, just trying to get 1 or 2 extra positions. As they enter in the corner, the 38, looks like most of the cars have worked themselves out as, it looks like the 54 almost turns Guerrero in that 18 car. They are able to save it, or he was able to save it, so definitely good driving by the 18. So we scroll up to see some of the other top drivers. Looks like the 80 is driving away, and the 4 for the most part is doing everything he can to stay in front of the 31 and the 12. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on the 31. The 31 is driving very close to the 4. Not sure if he did anything to the 31 earlier in this race. But I know the last race, the 4 definitely did not make any friends, so there may be some retaliatory bumping in this race. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that, as the 4 has ended up pulling a little bit away from the 31. We're on lap 86 of 94. We'll see if we can finish this race on the green flag. As right now, the 80 right now is just driving away from this pack. So right now the 80 is leading, and he has a very substantial lead on that number 4 car. With the amount of laps left, don't think he's going to catch up to any lapped cars, though. We'll definitely have to see, because there are some cars here that are very, very slow. The 54 Cargo, he definitely was one of the top drivers earlier in this race, but getting caught up in a couple of issues has slowed him down a considerable amount. As right now, it looks like for the most part, it is just single file driving on lap 88. Looks like the 4 and the 31 maybe just trying to work together to try to catch that 80 to see if they can make a run at the win. I mean, it does look like they are slowly catching them, but we'll see how long this alliance stays. As it seems like that 31 is thinking about moving to the inside of the 4. So it looks like the 4 has, or it looks like those two both have stayed single file. I mean, they are making a move. They are catching the 80. So we will definitely have to keep an eye on this to see how long they're going to stay linked together. Because that space between the 80 and 4 is shrinking extremely fast. As we have 4 laps to go. And we'll see how long the 31 decides he wants to stay in 3rd place, especially if it comes down to, basically if it comes down to they're not going to catch the 80, as that space between the 4 and the 80 hasn't grown and hasn't shrunk in about a lap, as the 31 did take that turn extremely wide. Not sure if he was going to try the outside line on the 4. As we can see, almost this entire race, that outside line is not very fast. As we have about 2 laps to go, it looks like 80 right now, as long as he does not get into any trouble, will win this. As I don't think there is enough time for that 4 or 31 to catch up. We'll definitely see if that 31 decides to try to go for a 2nd place finish. Because we are almost at the white flag. Yeah, it looks like right now they are not going to catch the 80. So that 31 may end up just trying to get to the 4 and get to 2nd place. Because even 2nd place is a good finish, especially for this race. As 31 has caught up to the 4. As the 80 takes the white flag, and the 31 has finally caught up with the 4, so he has 1 lap to go to pass the 4 car. Though he has not been able to do it that turn. As right now it looks like the 80 is going to win, barring any crazy changes. Though 31 decided he wants to try the outside line, definitely not going to finish it, as the 80 wins with 4 Felix in 2nd place, and then the 31 of Sheets in 3rd place, and then a good showing by Bishop here in 4th place, and then Green in 5th place. Williams, who had an earlier issue, I think at the beginning of the race, ends up finishing 6th. Looks like Martinez finished 14th, Mitchell 7th, Thorne 8th, Jarvie 9th. So definitely a good finish, especially with the amount of damage he has. He getting a top 10 finish. And then Parker finished 15th, tons of damage on him. Guerrero finished 10th, King finished 11th, Hannah finished 12th, Cargill finished 13th. So definitely a crazy race. 15 drivers ended up finishing the race. A ton of wrecks. So definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board for Phoenix to try to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I mean, it was a very eventful race, so it was definitely a fun race to watch, but not a good race for teams. So I think there was multiple teams that lost 2 cars. So losing a car is definitely not the greatest. So yeah, so definitely thank you so much for joining the race. Definitely a very eventful race. Congratulations to Brooks in that 80, basically dominating this second, basically dominating I think the second half of the race. So definitely good to see that. So congratulations to Brooks, Paul, Sheets, Bishop, and Green for a top 5 finish. I think top 6 were all player cars, so that's definitely good. They are definitely going finishing a lot better. And then 4, looks like Haas in the 8 definitely had the worst finish, in finishing 38th. Definitely not that great, but yeah. So thanks so much for watching. So congratulations to Brooks for winning the Phoenix race, and I will see